Welcome to this screencast, and this is going to follow how to make the basic bar graph. And I'm going to show you here one way to kind of add some more information to this to make it statistically a little bit more meaningful. So one thing I do want to point out is that if you make, we had made the graph, we had made this bar graph earlier in another screencast. So if you actually make a change to this cell, so I want to make this non-survivor, I want to make it survivors. If I change that and then click off that cell, notice that it automatically updates here on the graph. So all this information in the graph is linked to all these things. So if I changed one of these values or a set of these values in here, it would automatically adjust, what that mean was and everything. So it's all linked together. Right? So I'll just make this survivors, and then there we go. So now what we want to do is we want to take some of this information and do some statistical analysis for it. So, or with these values. So these items, these values here are the means. I want to be able to find the standard deviation, or just S, for that, and then we also want to calculate a 95% confidence interval as well. And this follows from the HHMI activity number 2 about the statistics here. So we can find the standard deviation of all of these values for the non-survivors by coming up here, and in more functions you would simply type here standard deviation and go, and we want to pick this one here that's STDEV, so standard deviation. So click OK. Now it's waiting for you to tell it which values to get. So I want to find the standard deviation of all of these values here, and this return. So this returns you the standard deviation very quickly. You don't have to do all the math out like we did in class, but we want to do the standard deviation of these guys. We come down to here, and now their standard deviation already, so we'll just select that one, click OK. And for the survivors, it's going to be, again, these values here. So we'll just grab these values. I want to find the standard deviation, click OK. So there's the standard deviation. If I want it just to 2 decimal points, I can select both those cells, right-click, format the cells, and here in number, this is where I can change the number of decimal points, places that I want. So I'll just keep it at 2 right there. Now, so this is the standard deviation for the survivors and for the non-survivors. And again, I can change this here. Number 2, be all right like that. So 95% confidence intervals. What we want to do here is we want to come down to more functions, and we are going to just type confidence. Go, and then you have all these choices. You're just going to pick confidence right there. Now, if you want a 95% confidence interval, your alpha is going to be 0.05. And then the standard deviation, you need to know that. So here's the standard deviation. So this is 1.36. And then your sample size, N, is 50 in this case. And click return, and there it returns for us the confidence interval. And we can do the same thing here for the other one. Again, more functions. Pick confidence. Once you type it in here the first time, it'll add it to the box down here, the ones that you were using more recently. You might see most recently used ones there. So here's confidence, and again the alpha is 0.05. Standard deviation for that set, it was 1.76, and then the N, or sample size, was 50. And you click OK, and there we go. And let's bring these to 2 decimal places. Right-click, format, number 2. There we go. So now that we have this information, so what? Who cares? More of that in class. But now the one thing we want to do is add confidence interval or error, mean, simple error, standard error, the mean bars to this graph. So what we'll do is I will left-click on that, and notice that I've selected and highlighted these values and then these values here. And then I'm going to right-click on this, and no, I'm not. I'm going to just select those, and then up here here's the design. This is where we could pick the different type of of a graph, but I want to go to layout. And so in layout over here in error bars, I want to come error bars, and I want to go error bars with standard error. And that puts these error bars on here. Now, we need to change this a little bit. And you notice that it changed the scale here just a little bit. The minimum is 15, so it's a little bit more obvious. But these error bars, and I can't figure this out in Excel, so the only way to change this to make it actually meaningful and correct in my experience is I select an error bar, and then I right-click on it, and then I want to format the error bars. And now down here in this just tells me like what I want the error bars to actually physically look like on the table. That's just the display. I don't care about that. I care about this error amount down here. If I click fixed value and I move this, right, if I take this fixed value and I make it what the confidence interval was, right, so if I make this 0.38 and I do that, now these error bars are actually true to what the representing the standard error of this mean is. And we can talk in class, we will talk in class about what does that mean, what the standard error of the mean, what is the meaning of confidence interval and everything like that. But you will frequently see graphs presented like this, where you have the mean and then these error bars here and error bars here will allow you then to do some analysis, some further statistical analysis of that. So you want to try to practice doing this. And again, this is all linked with that HHMI activity number 2 about Beak of the Finch and the statistics paper. So, right. So great. Thanks for listening. If there's questions, which I'm sure there are, confusions, go back, try this again with other data sets. And again, the more you practice with Excel, the more efficient you'll be. And yeah, probably be able to teach me a thing or two along the way about easier ways to do this, etc. So great. Cool. See you.